if you're looking to dominate in 2026 and stop living the same life over and over again that you may be living right now, I'm going to show you 5 key things to focus on and where most people make that mistake that holds them back. So when we're talking about living a life by design instead of living a life that isn't meant for us, where we got to start is exactly here. What are the pillars that are important to us? So if we don't know what our values are, then how do we know where we desire to go? So becoming clear on what our pillars are and what pillars are I'm talking about. For example, for level 5 life, your pillars go like this. We have 1, which is your health, which incorporates health and fitness, getting granular, your blood work, understanding really, truly what about you gets you energized, gets you focused, puts you in the best situation to show up each day to give yourself. But if you don't have energy because you're not taking care of your health, how are you going to do anything that you set out to do for 2026? The second pillar is relationships. And maybe we're just sick and tired of having these same meaningless relationships that we have, where we're focused on things that truly don't matter to us. When we're out of alignment and we're not attracting either the partner that we desire into our life and creating that real partnership and relationship, or maybe our friends aren't exactly, if we looked in the mirror, aren't a great reflection of where it is that we desire to be in our life. So relationship is another pillar. Then we go through in our personal development. So your mindset, personal development. And have you ever sat down and, like you do with business or how you do when you're in school and you develop out a plan, are you putting a plan together around these are the parts of my life that I'm focused on to ensure that I'm putting myself in the right situations to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that present myself for this year and in these moments, right? And so if I'm not having a straightforward plan around that, then how am I going to position myself right when those opportunities come? And then the fourth pillar is our wealth, is our business, is our financial. And, you know, a lot of people have different relationships with money, and maybe your relationship's great with financial, with your business, with your wealth, but how is that focusing and how is that correlating with these other pillars? Is that dominating? Because I know a lot of people that are very successful, but also very unhappy and very empty. And maybe you feel that way. Maybe you don't. And then the fifth pillar. So when we're looking at these fourth pillar, I'm going to share with you right now one huge mistake that people make when they're planning out their life or they're planning out this 2026 takeover is they forget about the foundation. And so we talk about 5 pillars. We talk about this foundational pillar. Can you guess what that is? What it is your legacy, your purpose, your why. So if you don't understand and you're not clear about what it is, and what I mean by legacy is not putting a statue of you out in front of Madison Square Garden. What I'm talking about is how are your interactions and the way that you treat people and the way that your imprint is left on this world. And through your interactions with each people, are you creating a positive ripple effect in the world? Is that the legacy that you want to leave with the way that you're interacting with people and the way that people are interacting with you? Your purpose being very clear on what you're doing and why you're doing it. If you don't understand and you're just going through each day, and I don't know if you felt like this, but I've been in places in my life I felt like this. I'm just going through each day. And I'm actually not creating any type of outcomes that I desire for my life, but I'm so used to being there. And it's comfortable. And at some point, you got to break free before it breaks you. And I got to the point where it broke me. And that's why I had to dig myself out. And that's why I established this framework, Level 5 Life. So when you become clear on your legacy, your purpose, and your why, then it becomes much easier to say, hey, I desire to go to the gym. I desire to have a plan when I walk into the gym, and it matters what I eat. I'm going to actually make sure I'm eating the right nutritional to feed my body, to make sure that I have the energy and everything to live out this purpose, this why, and be in alignment. And it matters, because if I don't have my health, I don't have wealth. And that is one of the biggest foundational pillars there. Then we may be struggling with our relationships, but do we know why our relationships are important or what we want? Do we want to have a great family with the mother of our children? Do we want to develop out a great example if we currently have children in a relationship? What is important with us, with our relationships, with our people that we interact with on an every day? And if we understand really what it is that we desire for our lives, then we can build that out. You would never jump in the car and say, I'm gonna go to the grocery store, but not know what grocery store you're going to, what the address is, what the route is, how long it's gonna take, or how much gas that you have in your car. Because if you did that to go to the same grocery store, you may show up at one, but you may show up at the wrong grocery store. It may take you 10 times longer, and you may run out of gas and resources along the way. So that's why, just like you do on a simple task like going to a grocery store, understanding each aspect, and then personal development. So if I understand, hey, my why, my purpose is to impact people in a positive way, I'm gonna work on feeding myself with different books. I'm gonna put stuff in my mind. I'm gonna have a morning routine, so I'm setting a tone for the day to get started. I'm gonna time block so that I can really ensure that I'm hitting all these pillars in a very calculated way so that I can live this stuff out, right? So personal development, understanding, do I desire a morning routine and an evening routine? What purpose does that serve, right? Do I desire to really understand when I'm in flow state, what is flow state for me? And am I doing the most impactful things in my day? And how am I setting that up? So personal development, really important. It's a catalyst to help drive outcomes in this. And when we're talking about wealth, that could be positioning yourself so that if you walk into the room, you're in great physical shape, which shows that you have discipline. If you have discipline, people will trust you because they know that if you show up for yourself, then you can follow through on your commitments that you make to them. But if you're not showing up for yourself, how is somebody gonna trust that you're gonna be able to show up for them? And I think that's a trap that a lot of us get into, is that we give and we show up these commitments that we make to somebody else. But the big question is, are you showing up to the commitments that you give to you? And if you're not, and you don't trust yourself, how can other people trust you? And I say that from experience. In my life, I've been through very high highs and very low lows a couple times. And as I went through those low lows, from the outside, it looked great. From the inside, I was so disconnected from any of this. And nobody would even know. But eventually that catches up. And so before that catches up and puts you down into the ground, my goal is to help share this stuff with you so that you can lift and raise. And so wealth, if you take care of these other things, wealth, that pillar can be a byproduct, but also where are you in alignment with that and what's your relationship? And so that is a level 5 life framework from the pillar aspect. So you have your level 5 life, you have your 5 pillars, which is your health, your relationships, your personal development, your mindset, your wealth, your business, finance, and then the one that they all sit on top of, the one that really drives all of these other ones and creates that clarity, because we all need clarity, is legacy, your purpose, and your why. So this is how you create a life by design instead of creating a life that maybe you don't even desire to live. And so it's gonna be hard either way. Why not choose a hard that really fills your heart, fills your soul? And if you feel disconnected from that purpose, this is the easy way to get back in there and start living with intention. So how do we figure this out? So a lot of things, yeah, we got these pillars, Garen, but how do we actually start figuring that out? And that's a great question. And so just like anything, it's always best to look at the big and work backwards. So what is the end goal? What is the end vision that I have? And then work backwards. We do that in business, you do that in life, you deconstruct things. So let's say our big vision is our highest self. Right? So, and we put that out, let's say it's our 10-year, right? So our highest self, 10-year If we did everything and got rid of any limiting beliefs, got rid of anything that said, hey, you're not enough. Your identity is this, not that. And you just said, you know what? This is the best version of me, that when I die and I go and I'm sitting in front of God and God sits there and he says, hey, Garen, here's a highlight reel. Here's a reel of the different versions of you. These all went in parallel. This is your version. Let me show you the best version of you. Think about this a lot. Where are you in comparison with that best version? And if you think you're leaving something on the table and you're not in alignment with that highest self, and it's not about the past, it's about what you do now, because you can shift that identity at any time. So I'm changing my identity to understand what is my highest self. And I have a great book that I read that really inspired me called The 5 a.m. Club. In The 5 a.m. Club, there's this character, Mr. Riley. And Mr. Riley, I identify Mr. Riley. I write it. I actually have a rock right here that says Mr. Riley on it. So I understand who Mr. Riley is. He's a character in that book and what it represents. So I challenge you, find that character. What is your highest self? You embody that. No limiting beliefs, shift your identity. And then from there, we set 3-year goals. So we don't set 1-year goals. And you may say, why don't you set 1-year goals? Everybody says New Year's resolutions, New Year 1-year goals. Like, how do I know if I'm on the right track if I'm setting a 3-year goal and not a 1-year goal? Well, a lot of times I'll tell you this. If I just sit here and I'm like, okay, in 1 year, what am I going to do? I may say I'm going to do something, but do I actually believe that it's achievable for me to be able to do? And then in a year, does that actually get you motivated enough to get you out of bed, to get you focused and that create that desire inside of you to achieve it? But in 3 years, if you write this 3-year goal here and you think big, you're not just playing small, you're saying, hey, 3 years, I'm operating in my highest self and my new identity. Then this 3-year goal, you write that out in each one of those pillars. Now you have some clarity as far as how it is that you desire your life to be. Then we create 90-day ripples. So you may ask, what is a ripple and what's 90 days? So 90-day ripples, 90 days is the longest that you can set something out where you still keep focused in it and you can stay engaged. So when we create ripples, we look at our highest self, our 3-year goals, our 90-day ripples. Now we look at our 5 pillars. In those 5 pillars, we pick 1 to 2 ripples max. So you can have 1 to 2 ripples. You develop out, you choose out what this is, and what are ripples are non-negotiables, 1 to 2 non-negotiables per pillar. So if it's my health and fitness, I could have a body fat percentage. Hey, I'm at 12% body fat, 90 days, I'm gonna be 8.5. Because now I gotta deconstruct that and work backwards from there on how I'm gonna do that. So maybe weekly, which we'll get to, for me, I have to be at the gym 5 days a week. I have to follow this meal regimen, but I understand why I'm doing that and why it matters, right? And so that's the 90-day ripples. So we got 90-day ripples, 1 to 2 per pillar, and then we go backwards from there. Now we're looking at our weekly. What are our weekly KPIs or measurables? From 90-day ripples, we make our weekly KPI measurables. What are our weekly KPI measurables? That is what we set to achieve in those 90 days on those 1 to 2, what we can measure as far as, example, I set a goal for my body fat percentage, right? So I'm going from 11 to 8.5. I know my weekly KPIs. I'm gonna be in the gym for 5 days a week. I'm gonna follow this workout plan. I have this nutrition plan that I'm gonna follow because those are what are leading indicators for me to accomplish my 90-day ripples. So if I'm very serious and I'm gonna take that approach, I'm not gonna wait to day 85 to start achieving my ripples. I'm gonna start getting there very quickly and I'm gonna start attacking it right away. And it doesn't need to be anything crazy. It's just I'm mindful of where I'm going. Just like we're taking a trip to the grocery store, we know exactly what car we're in, what turns we're taking, how to get there, and what we're getting when we're at the store. So that's the same thing we're doing. Then what do we do from there, you think? We break it down per day. So now I create my morning, design my morning by design, my day, and my evening. So one of my favorite things to say is when your morning, when your day, when your day, when your life, because today is the only day that matters. So the only day we have is this moment. So any day you can shift and you can change. You say, hey, I'm not a morning person. Any day you can shift that identity. I've had a lot of people tell me they're not morning people. Now they're waking up at 5 a.m. And they used to wake up like my guy over here at 8:30, 9 a.m. every single day, right? So we're not doing that. We're focused. And maybe it makes sense for you to wake up at 9 a.m. For most people, that clarity that the morning gives you and having a set routine around that creates a catalyst for a successful life. So when your morning, when your day, and then time boxing. So understand we're gonna box out time or block out times to do the most impactful things. So we pick 3 things, non-negotiable each day, that we're gonna attack and we're gonna achieve no matter what. And those are the 3 most important things. And I'll teach you how we come up with what those are, right? It's not just by accident. It's like that thing. If I was to fill this jug right here and I was gonna fill it up with all sand, I could not put any rocks in there. If I was to fill it up with all pebbles, couldn't fill any rocks in there. But if I was to fill it up first with the rocks, the stones, the bigger versions of those, I could put those in, then I could put the pebbles in, and then I could put the sand. So I'm sure you guys have maybe seen that analogy before. It's a great analogy of life, right? So we're gonna pick the 3 big rocks each day that we're gonna put in there. We're gonna time block those in there, and those are gonna be non-negotiables, and those are all working to achieve this. And then before you know it, you may accomplish this 3-year goal in a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and it'll be something that you never even dreamed of before setting this time and intention. So if you want to create a life by design, then there's a level 5 framework to do so. If you want to do it with a community of people, if you want to climb a mountain, you take that journey together instead of by yourself. If you've ever been at the gym and you can lift a little bit, but you got your boy that comes with you, now you can lift a little bit more. It raises that competitive spirit inside you, raises that testosterone level, it raises that intention. That's how we live, and that's the level 5 way, right? So we're all about creating that brotherhood, creating that pathway together, amplifying the impact. And it's something that we take a lot of pride in because everybody our desire is to feed into leaders so that they can create a ripple effect along the way with other people. And this framework can continue to feed itself that way, and it can go out and expand. And so living a life with purpose, with intention, not a life by design, and not being on that wheel over and over again, living the same day, waking up tired, waking up not feeling in alignment, wondering what life is really here for. This is the way to change that. You can shift that at any time, change your identity right now, today, and you shift your whole life.